Okay, yeah, but there we go. All right, cool. Okay, so we liked it. We want.
It no longer matters who's crazy and who's not. The world is on fire, and no one is going to put it out for us. No matter your race, religion, or creed, we are all in this together. Remember, your participation is the lifeblood of social media, and right now, the content creators you love are under siege and need your help. Please like, share, subscribe, and if possible, click the donation button in the episode description. Now welcome to the Bradley Powers Esoteric Hours. It is my honor to present your host, Mr. Bradley Powers.
You're up, Bradley. He's still muted. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the relaunch of your old Esoteric Hours. As you can see, one thing hasn't changed, the technical difficulties.
Right.
I would like to introduce you guys to our guest, Donald Ledesma, and the screen is on the name, and you guys know Terry Lynch. Whoa, got it. Mr. Terry Lynch. Welcome to Esoteric Hours, folks.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah. So
far, same as always.
Welcome to Bradley Powers, Esoteric Hours. We're back. Facebook couldn't shut us down completely after all. We're back with a pilot series, a premiere of the Esoteric Hours, which hopefully shall reign for quite a long time. And my co-hosts, we couldn't have one without the other because they are both co-hosts of Esoteric Hours. Jim Andre, alien abductee and quantum healer. Thank you for joining me, Jim.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
That was like rehearsed it.
Jim can do quantum physics. He can actually make himself disappear amazingly, and I don't know how he does it. And we also have been blessed with my other co-host, Cassidy Lightwing. And Cassidy Lightwing, how would you like to present yourself? Oh, and we also have Cassidy Lightwing, the lion.
There. It's like a vaudeville act.
What? Jim, you missed the lion. It's Cassidy Lightwing, the lion.
Yes,
right, and Jim Andre, alien abductee.
No, I'm back. I'm back. My internet's shaky right now. We're getting like thunderstorms. So.
Oh, really?
We are too.
Well, and I'd like to introduce our special guest, Donald Ledesma from Alien Strand. Hi, Donald. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And Oregon Ufology ASDP ufologist Terry Lynch is in the house.
How's it going this evening, sir?
And so who's the odd one out, you wondering? Well, actually, it's Donald, because Donald hasn't got a goatee beard. And we're part of the same gang, the goatee beard.
See, what you guys don't
it's like ZZ Top, the only... It's like ZZ Top, the only guy without a beard's name, Fred Beard.
Right?
Terry Lee, to be honest with you. Yeah,
I like to look that way.
And the reason why Donald Ledesma and Terry Lynch are here is they are promoting a documentary called The Middle and The Middle 2. And The Middle and The Middle 2 are both contain content about the Cascadia Guide. And a lot of you probably have no idea what the Cascadia Guides are. And they are going to present to us information validating references supporting the fact that the Cascadia Guides are relevant in today's society. They actually are, they provide information, a sign, a symbol, promoting the fact that extraterrestrials did exist, and they were here. So over to you guys, Donald and Terry. Please tell us more, because this is very intriguing, and we've never discussed the Cascadia Guides on this show ever in the history of Esoteric Hours.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start. So I have a my own podcast show called Alien Shred Podcast that I've been doing since 2019. Okay, so I started that one in I believe in June and July, and right close to the middle of the year, Mr. Terry Lynch contacted me, and he showed me some photos that he found on Google Maps, and he was about to go up there. He hadn't gone up there yet, on top of Paulina Peak there in Oregon, so which is a mountain that's about 8,000 feet above sea level, right? So, and it was a geoglyph that he found on the ground, and but nobody's ever heard about it or anything like that. So he showed it to me, and he just said, "Hey, Donald, can you check this out for me? You think it's legit? Let's." And I started looking into it a little bit more, researching it as much as he did as well. He researched it a whole bunch more than I did, but I just wanted to make sure that what we were seeing. He hadn't presented it to me as doing a documentary yet, right? So every day we started talking from that day forward, right? He was sending me pictures. He was sending me triangulations, coordinates. He was sending me everything that coincided with UFO crafts that he was catching in that general area above that peak, right? Above the guides, which he named them. He called them the Cascadia Guides. And what it is, it's a rock formation that's about 38 feet by 38 feet. Okay, this is how long and how wide they are. They look like two aliens that are back to back in a sitting position. The heads and everything, the way it's shaped. It's kind of hard to tell by Terry's shirt in the background, but that's pretty much what they look like. And unless you see this film, this is a brand new find that nobody had ever seen before. Okay, and it's a rock formation, really. So anyway, long story long, he just kind of told me that, and I said, you know what, man, this looks pretty legit to me. And we researched the whole area to see if anybody had put them there, had did some kids up there or anything like that. Nothing. He even reached out to the geological forestry out there. He talked to everybody out there. Nothing. They hadn't never seen anything like this before, right? So I said, you know what, let's go ahead and present this to the world. And so it took us about a year to plan, to get me and my camera crew up there, and it was a skeleton crew, but we were able to go up there and start filming from New Mexico, when he introduces to a lot more people to be in the film. Mr. Ken Wells there in New Mexico, and then just started adding a bunch of people. Mr. Arizona Gallegos there in Arizona, of course. Interviewed him, and then we just kept on going up, until we got to Mr. Terry Lynch. It took us. It was a 5,000 mile trip. Okay, so
Wow.
it was about it was almost 3,000 miles up there, and the same thing coming back. So, and we drove the whole thing because we wanted to catch as much footage as we could, in the general areas where everybody lived. So from then on, we just decided to make this film. It took about almost from July of last year, the year before, I'm sorry. It took almost about 6 months to actually edit everything, to put it together and actually put it on a platform to get it out there to the folks. So we finally released it in this year of January 12th of 2023. We actually got it out there, and it's actually doing really well because it's a brand new find. Nobody's ever seen it before. Everybody's intrigued about it. And, the only thing I can say is Mr. Terry Lynch is going to give you more information about that part of it, because he's the one that just was, he had his boots on the ground.
I have a question for you, guys. Candy Fowler is asking, this is in Washington State, is the question? Yes.
Oh, no, it's in Oregon.
Thank you.
Oregon.
Yes, dead center of Oregon.
Dead center?
Dead center. We're in the middle of Oregon, the very center of Oregon, which is one reason we call this the middle. If you were to take a tack and stick it in the center of Oregon, you'd be right on these guys.
Gotcha.
And from the top of Paulina Peak, there's two spears right up above the figures. And if you go up to that area, you can see Mount Shasta in the state of California, and you can see Mount Adams up in the state of Washington State. And if you turn around, you can see all the way out to Utah. You can see Nevada. You can see Idaho. These are all the things that you can see from the top of this location. This is I would have to say probably one of the furthest east mountains that fall in the Cascade Mountain Range. It actually is on the east. The mountain itself falls on the east slope of the Cascade Mountain Range. However, this is still part of it. This in particular volcano is called the Newberry volcano after the geologist Dr. Newberry. You've probably heard of his stuff, like from different locations up and down the west coast here, that are named little towns named Newberry or Newberry Valley. Or well, anyway, he worked for the U.S. railroad system, or the railroad system, and it was his job to find out where it was okay to lay track. And the process of coming through this area, and they were putting in the train tracks for, I think it's Bertelston Northwest. When they were doing this, he kept looking over at that mountain going, I got to get over there. Once I'm done doing this job, I got to go over here. And he did. And he went up there and he did a lot of research, showing that the Newberry volcano, where Paulina Peak is the largest volcano in the entire Cascade Mountain Range. It would be a lot higher. There's 2 lakes down the bottom of it, in the caldera. It's a lot like Crater Lake, its sister, which is just southwest. So you've got Crater Lake and you've got Newberry volcano. Both of them are national parks. I mean, if you go into this place, you don't even want to pick up a stick and walk with it, because that would be almost a federal crime. So when you go up here, I want to make sure that nobody messes with this. I'm working with the people from U.S. Forestry Archaeology, and the people from University of Oregon, and we're talking about getting a fence put around each one of these so people don't tamper with it. There's already cameras been put up all around it. The next time I go up there, nobody but my team, U.S. Forestry Archaeology, USGS Survey, Oregon State University Archaeology, and geologists are going to want to go up there, and they're talking about possibly having a couple paleontologists come up to kind of take a look, because it's looking like there might have been some type of culture that took place on top of here, other than just these. It's almost like a shrine. And we've had gentleman Ken. What was Ken's last name? Ken
Andrews.
Ken Andrews, thank you, sir. He's also a wonderful Englishman that knows his business. This guy, he's done some filtration for us, showing us that there's possibly something underneath this. It's not. I'm not going to say it's. Let's see. How can we put it? I'm not going to say it's the Sphinx. That's for the gentleman that said that. But I will say that this right here was probably a very spiritual place for very ancient people. I've been looking at a lot of stuff that has taken place around this area, as far as like the Northern Paiute, or say the Modoc, Native American Modoc, are concerned. A lot of what I'm finding is the further east you go, it starts to become things like Azenazi. Those people are like a descendant, or these are descendants of Pueblo, or Pueblo descendant with the Fairmont Indians. So all of these different things that these people all walked around this location before Jesus was born. These were the ancients of the area. I know they like to say Chippewa and all this are First Nation people. No, these were the actual First Nation people that came from all of that. So you end up with things that are kind of unexplained around here, because the local tribes can't tell you anything about some of this stuff. For instance, this in particular thing are Cascadia guides, which thank goodness I got to name that. And if you look on Google Maps, it's up there named as Cascadia Guides now. U.S. Forestry is the one that notified me of that. So I was very happy to hear that I got to officially name that up there.
That's cool.
It is cool. That's history, man. I got to make history on this. So the second part here is now that we've got all that information, since Mr. Donald Ledesma is the person who originally started doing the documentation, that means he gets to be part of the documentation from here on.
Right.
Okay, this is he's the one that went up there with the film crew. My team was with him. We did the measurements. We figured what directions exactly they're facing. We took great we took great measurements. We took compasses up with us to make sure that he's facing Mount Adams and she's facing Mount Shasta. They're back to back. The one thing that I find the most impressive about this whole thing is I had put one of my Nikons. I think I had a Nikon P500 on that day. It goes to 810 millimeter. It's a P500. Anyway, I was aimed out towards Paulina Peak. This was just about the same time frame that I had found it. And I ended up with two craft coming over the top of Paulina Peak. And once they got directly over the top of the guides, one of them turned upright like this and lit up, signifying that they know that they're there. Okay. Right. So here's the other upside to this is now that I've got this location that I know that they go through, I know they go into the mountain there. Now that I know that in particular location is a hot spot, I sit and I can see things going directly over my house. I see things heading out into the desert. I see things running north and south up what I call the Cascadia Passage, which is, again, that's from Mount Shasta up to Mount Adams. Yes.
So I had a question I wanted to ask you before you get too much further. Now, I haven't seen the documentary, and this is not because I don't care, as I don't do research on our guests first. I will watch the hell out of that later, but I like to see everything with fresh eyes. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So before we get too much further, I want to ask you a question, see if that sort of like falls in line. From the air, utilizing their instrumentality, depending on which technological base we're dealing with, they should be seeing the various flows under the volcano as sort of like lit up with geomantic or magnetic energy.
Correct.
That would allow them to use that as a very, very poignant navigational point, as well as possibly a portal. Does that sound correct?
That's exactly what's going on.
Yep.
If you look very close at the spears I was talking about that are on top of Paulina Peak, there's these giant round, and you can see them. You can see them for miles. They're bigger. Almost looks like those big round rocks that you see at Machu Picchu. Okay, it's almost identical to that. Okay, now I want to let you know these that we have here, they're 100% obsidian. These are giant obsidian spears, and I'm talking about spears that are bigger than 10 of your houses put together. Okay, we've got a flow out there that's the size of a small city that is all obsidian, 100% obsidian. This location, even the guides themselves are made of chunks of obsidian and basalt. It's kind of some of it's kind of clapped together like a clay type thing that they've been put together. Some of it's just chunks. What we found out was after researching that was it 2011 they started to resurface. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was waving to the guest, or not guest,
okay.
Commentary.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Hey guys. I'm trying to learn how to not there's some things I'm learning about interviews. Mr. Ledesma's teaching me, so I'm working with it. Like, don't say things that you're being taught.
Can I join that class too?
60 seconds to say thank you for joining us. Donnie Lothridge, Julianne Guthrie Smolson, Candy Fowler, Marianne Clark, and Jimmy Johansson, John Wilkes. Thank you for joining us. A pleasure to have you, Neil.
Oh, yeah, there's some names that are in our group right there.
Oh yeah.
We've probably been members of your group as well because they are fascinated by what you're actually sharing. The Cascadia guides. What guides is in? Who's the guide? Is it a guide to somewhere? A portal?
It is a guide. First off, you're looking at a marker every time you see a geoglyph, what you're doing is you're finding markers to hives. These things live inside the planet. Okay, they've been part of this since the very beginning. You as a druid would know that these are part of their nature. It's natural. This is a large majority of these things have been here. They're generations like we are. They've been here since the beginning. If you look up, sometimes you see one that's got a round craft. You see one with a pointy craft. You see one that looks like he's on a backpack. You see one that looks like he's flying a rock. Okay. What it is they first off, whatever the trick is for levitation of different objects, they've got this mastered. I would have to say that they're probably utilizing the fact that this entire planet's got completely a static electricity engine. So that's most likely how they're doing their fuel mixed with hydrogen. You can see the hydrogen once the craft is moving a certain speed, they go into hydrogen bubble just like our jets. If you remember from previous interviews, I had stated that the Earth rotation is how these crafts move on a majority of the time. So basically, the craft is staying still, and the Earth is actually moving, depending on where you are on the planet. Like if you're closer down to the center, to the point zero of the equator, you're moving a little over 1,000 miles an hour. You get up closer to where I'm at, you're moving closer to 733 miles. I kind of narrowed mine down. 733 miles an hour is my location. So if you end up with something that lets off, and all of a sudden it's being held there by magnetic flux tubes, and it lets off from the Earth rotation, it disappears that fast. I mean, that fast. And then they also have the capability of magnetic repulsion. So they're pushing away at the same time. It's all natural. The whole thing's natural.
What?
I see a hand up. I was wondering if there's a question.
Yes, there's a question. These geocliffs, are they potential entry points to alien portals? Is the question.
What it is it's a marker to let you know that you're close to one. The geoglyph itself could probably easily be destroyed. So the marker, it's just a marker itself. Now, what I have seen and what I have is I've got some footage of craft going in and out of the side of the mountain faces. So when you set and you monitor it, there was one day I had it was about a 17 minute video that I had taken, and I had Mr. Annabelle Quiones. He's ASDP ufologist out of Colorado. Also, I call him my professor, Annabelle.
Cool.
But what he had was
That's
he had
scary.
one that was, well, yeah, it kind of is, but that's who he is to me. Annabelle, Jody, and Tino Gallegos. Jody Gordon, she's now in Arizona. She was in Colorado. And Tino Gallegos, who they call Arizona Gallegos. These are the three people that taught me the things that I knew right off the bat. You can't take it. First off, you can't not mention them. These people showed me things. And every one of these people I'm extremely grateful to. And I believe they know it too, because I mention them every time I get out here. These guys are some of the best ufologists you'll ever run across. And I guarantee you start asking them, they're going to tell you they're not a ufologist. I'm just a citizen. No, they're ufologists. They just don't realize they are. And they just happen to be at the top of their game. Every one of them's taught me things, and then I've taken the things that they've taught me, and I've taught other people those things, and it's turning out to where other people are coming in with different techniques now. And this is what ASDP is all about, man. We get people coming in from all over the world with different ways, different visions, and different techniques, and nobody's saying this is the only way to do it. We don't have somebody saying that you can't have something go past your camera now. And that's what part of the problem was for me when it came to, I don't like to do this because I don't like to talk down about anybody, because we work with everybody. But there are organizations out there, and I'm not going to mention their name. There are organizations out there that say, if you don't see it with your eyes, it didn't happen. But Well, okay, so
That's
it happened in
convenient.
front of my camera. It happened in front of my camera, and I recorded it. So, did that not happen? So this is what they're trying to say is we're different. We are so different in this way that we actually take a person's story and we respect what they said. We don't try and talk them down. We don't want to, when we're interviewing somebody, we're not going to make them feel like that they're being interrogated and about to be thrown in jail. Okay,
Really?
I've ran across that with when I went to report my very first one because I didn't know where to go, what to do. So the very first thing I did was I went to the person that I was told because of I went and I listened to Mr. Art Bell, which was a good guy. I mean, he's absolutely he's the king of
one of my heroes.
King of Nye, man. That was a Kingdom of Nye guy.
Mine too. Hey, Terry, he's got a question.
Yeah, I'm going to cut him, Terry. Cassidy's got a question he's dying to ask.
It's all right. I need some air.
Yeah, well, that's why I hold the finger up so I don't forget.
So, be a few minutes. Let's have it.
Going back to these megaliths, are you suggesting that these were built by the serpent folk, the people that share this planet with your species, or one of the visitors who just been here a really long time, like the Pleiadians? I'm a little confused, and it seems like a hair-splitting question, but it's actually very important.
I got an answer for that. It's called volcanism. It got pushed up there, man. It got pushed up there by lava. It didn't get pushed up by magic. It didn't get pushed up by anything but volcanism.
So this is a natural.
It's geology. Now the geoglyph itself. Okay, those spheres that are on the side, that's all made out of obsidian. That was pushed up by volcanism. The guides themselves were built out of debris from this.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so
I'm imagining these giant, like Lord of the Rings statues up there, and
no.
Thank Machu Picchu. You know what Machu Picchu? Have you seen pictures of Machu Picchu?
Oh yes.
Okay, you know the big round spheres off in the distance around Machu Picchu, the ones that are really close. Okay, so up on top of Palina Peak, it's pretty much like you're looking for Machu Picchu out across the valley without the little city there. Okay,
that gives me a better idea.
Another question has been risen, and that is: are there any particular alien race using these entry points more than others?
I would say.
I would say, like, check it out. I would say multiple, maybe, possibly, because there was Mr. Kev Andrews in the UK. So what happened was, I did another. It was called The Middle. It was like the beginning of The Middle, where it all started, right? A precursor to The Middle, and we put that on YouTube. It was like a 10-minute video, maybe 15 minutes at the most. Kev Andrews, he does a lot of analyzations and stuff like that with his software that he created. So he's got this software that he created, right? So what he did was there was a video where Terry's standing in the mountains and he's kind of putting he's talking. And he's got his cameras pointed towards the sky, and in the background there's a cloud up there behind him, right? You can't really tell what it is because it was so smoky that day, right? Because there was fires down at Black Rock. So
this was amazing.
So what Kev Andrews did was he snapshotted that photo, right? And he started using his analyzation techniques. And what he got out of it was, man, I swear to God, we have this picture, but I don't have it with me from my phone right now. But I'll send it to you.
That's
guys.
on my phone too.
Yeah. It's a picture of, you can see Terry standing there, right, talking to the camera. In the background, in the distance, you can actually see the Cascadia guides, the outline of them in the cloud.
And
it was not superimposed. He didn't do any of that stuff to it. It looks exactly like them behind him. So that was our aha moment, that what Terry's doing and what I'm doing, but what he saw was the pivotal moment where it just says, you know what, you're on the right track. This is what you're supposed to be doing. So when by making the movie The Middle, right, Cascadia Guides. In other words, if you haven't seen this movie, it's kind of hard to follow us what we're talking about in a sense, but you need to see this movie in order to get what we're talking about and how the shape of this geoglyph that's on top of this mountain. And it's just, you have to watch it. It's just, that's the way it is. It's kind of hard to
I know I can agree with that. Real quick, you guys gave us a collection of photographs that we could bring up. Is that picture
Yeah.
in this collection?
Yes, it is. I put one up there that said Cascadia Guides.
Awesome.
Basically you'll see it in there. You'll see it
Yeah.
in there. It's a picture that you can bring up. Also, I'm going to be working a little bit here with Crook County Sheriff's Department, as well as U.S. Bureau of Land Management. We're going to be going out just on the other side of this mountain. There's a series of cattle mutilations that's been taking place on the other side of this mountain. So within the next few months here, I'm going to be getting all of the police files and records on this. Me and Donald, my team, Oregon Ufology, and a gentleman named Michael Beavers from over the valley. He's also a ufologist. He's also ASDP ufologist. We're all going to be up there. We're going to find ourselves a nice plateau right over the top of where the cattle mutilations have taken place. And I'm kind of on the mend, so we're going to try and make this to where I pop outside and sit in a chair. Because I kind of still need some healing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know where the locations are, and this team, I've got my team to carry and move my gear around. So I'm going to end up on top of this plateau with everybody. We're going to do some filming, and we're looking at what we would be calling the middle three.
Nice.
And that's what's in the works right now. The middle two is we've got quite a bit to do for that still. The middle three is still a concept, but at the same time, we're going to have all the footage for the middle three on Mr. Ledesma's next trip to Oregon.
Yep.
So
Nice.
we're gonna try and knock that out, and I think I only had a couple things that we had to take care of for the middle two on my part. Go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
I'm waving.
I'd like to say a couple of things. The good news is, while you have all been enjoying yourself, I've been working really hard backstage here, and I have shared the show to 105 groups. Okay, 105 groups I have shared.
Right on. Nice.
I know. Yeah, that's good.
They will all be tuning in and seeing what you're all about. That's
Thank
one
you.
thing. Hi there, Donnie Randall. Thank you for joining us. Donnie Randall is in the house. And so we have a question. These entities visiting Earth, do they have a positive attitude towards humanity, or do they have their own agenda?
Depends on the tribe.
That would have to be something you'd have to ask them. I personally, I've only had eye-to-eye contact. The things that I had when I had the eye-to-eye contact seemed to be all very scientific. The things that seemed to pass, I couldn't tell you exactly what their agenda is. I'd have to be on their craft and part of their group to understand what they're doing. I was never picked up. I'm not an abductee. At least I don't think I was. I do spend a lot of time very close to them. One of the next big things I want to do, other than this investigation out in Crook County and Lake County, is I want to go. This is again down in Lake County. We've got a place called Hole in the Ground, and I want to put together a large CE5 down there. I put the invitation out to Dr. Greer if he wants to come do this. It's not really necessary if he does, as the information is out on how to do this. So we don't exactly need Dr. Greer's, and we don't exactly need. We don't need government. We don't care if government gives us any kind of disclosure. That's not their job. We, the people, with our equipment, the government's part of this whole equation. However, we, the people, with our cameras completely around the world, we know what we're looking at. We don't need them to tell us what we saw. We certainly don't need them to tell us we're hallucinating. I tried to report something to Bureau of Land Management the other day. This is how we ended up meeting. And when I did, they said, well, the Air Force is no. I said, no. I told them, I'll tell you what, why don't you just go ahead and Google me? get back to me and we can get into this conversation again. If you're going to start saying Air Force, I know what I'm looking at since you don't. Okay.
Right.
If you see something that looks like a campfire in the sky and it stops and it stays there and it keeps changing direction when it wants to, like it's trying to make up its mind. Air Force, I mean, they got helicopters, but that's not what they do. They don't look like a campfire. Okay. They don't hover over the top of Flying a Peak. I saw 3 days ago, I saw one go over the top of Flying a Peak. It stopped. It stayed right over the top of the guides. And then it moved and it went over to a place that we call Finley Butte, which is, it's a small cinder cone volcano. Okay. Once it moved off from there, it went, actually what it did was it went up and then it disappeared. Campfire in the sky. And then it lit up again, and then it took off out across Lake County out into eastern Oregon, and then I saw it kind of fade out as it was going away. So when I went to go and try and report that to the federal government, which you're supposed to do that, you know, you're supposed to tell them what you see, I ended up getting an explanation from one department that doesn't know anything about the other department, telling me, well, the Air Force is out here doing this. Okay, so here's the thing. A few days before this took place, yes, there was a C-130 that passed by. I know that they were going over the top of the peak. They went directly over it. So you know that they were taking photos as they were going over the guides. Okay.
Now
the very next, and then and then the very next day, it was one of those big 2-prop helicopters. You know, the troop transport helicopter. As big green one, and it went right in the exact same flight pattern, and it went right over the top of Flying a Peak, and it stopped right over it, and then it moved on again. I've actually got video of it as this helicopter went past me, and one good picture, because I kind of look at the sky.
We need to get some drones so we can send up there, like when they're hovering, just send a drone up there, like, hi, you know.
Well, here's another thing. I got more to that. When I'm up there filming, I could be filming down into a canyon, and these things come right over within feet of my head.
Right.
Okay? These craft come within feet of my head. You don't hear them, you don't see them, but when you film them, you see them. And I was filming it. It just happened to be the moment I was filming it when I saw it cutting across the valley over the top of the tree line. It stopped and it turned, went right over the top of my head. And when it went over the top of my head, everything on my film went woo, just like that, because of magnetic flux tubes as it went over my camera. Right. So it gave me a disruption the second it did it.
Well, these vessels literally warp space. So, I mean, what's your film going to do against that, you know?
Candy Fowler, sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. It's your show.
Well, Candy Fowler, Donald, you're sitting there very quiet, and that's just not cricket, you know, because we know that you are full of esoteric intellect as well. And Candy Fowler saying maybe the guides are on an energy station for crafts. What do you think about that?
I think so too, because ever since Terry witnessed this a couple of years ago and still witnessing today, and then after the film, of course, now I've noticed that I'm starting to see a lot more videos on crafts that are going over Oregon now. So more people are starting to point the cameras in the sky. So remember, before, you know, a lot of people weren't into ufology. This was like 5 years ago. They were out there, but they weren't as they are now, because more people are starting to have more cell phones in their hands, which are miniature cameras. You know, they're starting to film more things that they can't understand and they can't see, right? So now we're starting to see a lot more footage in the sky, especially over the guides now. So what Terry caught, everything that's on our movie is footage of people that have seen these crafts go by, and it's real footage. It's not fake footage. It's their stuff.
Right.
Donald, how long have you been connected with the Cascadia guides? How long has this been going on?
For me?
For me or for him?
Both of you.
Oh, for me, well, since I met Terry in 2019. So, but ever since then, this has been a roller coaster, man. I'm gonna tell you right now.
What was it before then? Other parties, other interests before then? Before you come along?
No, actually,
no, we're the first.
I've always been into ufology, always. But I just decided to do a podcast in 2019 about it, and all I did was talk about things of the past, alien abductions, and I did my research on stories and things like that, and then I told a bunch of stories of the past. So I was so intrigued about ufology and how these crafts were coming down, all different shapes, sizes, colors. Of course, we have CGI now. It throws it to crap now these days, and it's horrible. I hate that crap. I wish these people would just stop doing that because it makes the people that are just starting right now, it makes them believe that something like that in CGI is the real thing, and it's not, because
especially with AI art.
Right. And then with what we do with Alien Transclosure Project is that when we get the photo of the craft, or it looks like a bee, it looks like a bird sometimes, or it actually looks like a craft. So what we do is we crop it, right? We zoom in right when we zoom in on that object. And then we use analyzation techniques for different colors, things like that, so we can see electronic magnetic field on it, right? Most of the times you can see with the naked eye. You'll see the field around this craft.
You will.
That's when you know it's a real craft. Most of the times when you CGI, you're not going to see it. It's just going to look like something.
And may I say, Alien Strand Disclosure Project is what ASTP stands for.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Strand Disclosure Project.
Strand in what context? What kind of strand are you referring to?
A strand? Well, it's just it's life in general. Life as we live as people, and life, because it can be a strand of anything, a strand of DNA. That's
the word I was looking for. Okay,
that's what it is. So, and that's what Alien Strand. That's why I put Alien Strand when I first made it. And then once Terry decided to say, "Hey, let's make an organization," and Terry put it together. He goes, "Let's do Alien Strand Disclosure Project," because that's exactly what it is disclosure.
I have some evidence that you might want to look into later at some point, but not today. This is all about you. Could I ask, and this is for the audience as well, especially a lot of the newer viewers, because we go out to all sorts of paranormal phenomena. So for a lot of these guys, UFO stuff is new. Can you guys explain the close encounter classification system? Like what is CE1, CE2, CE3? What do they mean? Like close encounters of the third kind,
Right.
The CE1's basically, it's just going to be something from a distance. You see it over 500 feet. CE2 is going to be a little bit more closer, where you'll see maybe it'll leave some kind of evidence behind, as far as like imprints or something on the ground. Maybe a CE3 is when you have an up and close and personal encounter, eye-to-eye contact of an extraterrestrial. So, and then 4 is when you're actually communicating, right? And then 5 is when you're actually on the ship communicating and doing things for them, right? So that's basically how you classify. Which was I think Hynek was one that did the classifications of everything.
I wouldn't know. But
yeah, yes, that's what it is. And like I said, on this CE2, CE3, the reason we were making this next movie called CE3 is because of what Terry saw eye to eye, right? He had a really close proximity encounter, and it looked at him and they looked at each other.
Yeah, we actually had a moment.
They had a moment. It wasn't a love moment, but it was just a great moment. You know what I mean? To where at that, okay, I'm gonna bring it back just before we get into this. Before this happened to Terry didn't know anything about quantum physics. He didn't know anything about, mechanical, how UFOs fly. He didn't know anything about aliens, anything like that. Terry was a normal guy. He was working a regular job. He was riding his motorcycle, being a family man, being a grandfather, and that's what he did until he had this encounter. Once he had this encounter, then something opened up in his mind, saying, "You know what? I need to learn. I need to learn."
What year did he have this encounter, Donald?
I'm sorry?
What year did he have this encounter?
What did you have it in, Terry? 2018?
2019.
2019. Yep.
2019.
Not long ago then. And here we have the middle documentary at LEDZ production. Thank you.
That's your new one. That's your guys' new one, right?
Yeah, this is the new one that
Yeah.
we're in pre-production with that one right now.
Right.
If this one's ready to rock and roll. Now that one right there that you're seeing right now, that's the middle. That's the actual poster that you'll see when you're looking for it. On we always say go to Amazon. I mean, we put it real cheap for like $2.99, so that way you don't have to worry about commercials. You don't have to worry about commercials or anything like that. You know, and it's cheap. You know, it's real least expensive. Now you can catch it on Tubi TV. It's free on Tubi TV if you want to watch it there.
Donald, am I right in saying, for the record, you need to Google the middle Cascadia guides?
Correct.
Because if you Google the middle, you get Malcolm in the middle. If you
Right.
Google the middle Cascadia guides, you'll get exactly what you are visualizing right now.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
Yes,
right.
sir.
And give us a thumbs up if you like it. You know, this is a very educational video, what you're going to see here, because not only that
There they are.
you get to see the Cascadia guides that are right there. This is what you can see.
Fantastic. Look at what we're looking at. This is
Yep.
amazing. Two
Yep.
extraterrestrials back to back. Do they look like short greys to you, or what sort of species would you actually
They look
say?
like grays to us.
They look like tall grays to us, actually.
Yeah.
If you look closely at other pictures, you'll notice that if we're standing at the top of the heads, those things make us look tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually a giant geoglyph. If you look on the side there, she's actually holding a tree in her hand, a small tree.
Ah, yeah, very
Yep.
good.
That's It's kind of an interesting thing.
And it's strange because when Kev Andrews, when he did his analyzation on that photo right there but my drone footage from above, you can see it, the electronic magnetic field on them only, and it glows in gold, man.
I was gonna.
It glows in gold. Yes, their hands glow in gold, and you'll even
There you go.
And it's strange because there's a photo of, not this one, but of one of Terry and Kev Andrews did another one on his electronic magnetic fields. Everything's glowing in gold. Their heads, their hands, not the whole body, the heads, the hands, and closer to the feet area, it glows in gold. And then when Terry walks by on the video, he's glowing gold. He's the only one that's glowing gold between everybody that's standing there in the video. So you tell me,
I was sent there.
you tell me that he's not
I believe
connected
you.
with this. So, and we have the video footage. So what it is what we're going to do in the next CE2 or CE3, we're actually going to put the Cascadia guides, and we're going to show you all the evidence of what this is. Mind you, this was buried. Everything that they're standing on, what you see the brown parts there, it actually feels like sand. It's thick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're walking on a sand dune. So it's not easy to walk up there. It was raining. It was raining hard that day when we were up there. So
for those who just joined us, Donald, how
Yes,
did
sir.
you discover the Cascadia guides in the first place?
Terry, he's the one that did it. He's the one that was he likes to he when he started going into ufology, he actually started going through Google Maps, and there's a lot of times that you can catch a craft in the sky when you Google map it, right? You'll catch one. He started doing this technique, so he decided to go in his area where he was at, and lo and behold, bam, there you go. But I'll let him explain that to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick,
John
can I answer
Wilson.
this question?
Go on.
Go ahead.
Facebook user says, is that his aura presenting itself in the presence of aliens?
I don't know if it's in the presence of aliens, but I mean, there was no aliens around us that day. You know, that I could see, right? Because it might be interdimensional. We all know that they go
Right.
they go all the way up to 8 dimensions. So it's well, yeah, they as high as they can go above our grade. Let's just put it that way.
Andy
And
Fowler says, do you guys have strange phenomenon go on with your equipment when you're up there?
you know,
Yes.
it was every once in a while, our cameras would glitch. The only thing that didn't glitch on us was the actual drone. The drone footage. So the drone did actually really well out there. And to me, it's like, the only place that it didn't work well was at the obsidian flow.
Big
So
obsidian flow.
there's a huge obsidian flow. I could not get my drone to work over there. And that's right by the guides. It's right by the guides. It's like, what, maybe 50 miles from the guides, maybe 30 miles?
It's
real close.
it's actually, if you were to like be able to jump, it's the big obsidian flow is right on the edge of where we were.
Yeah.
This is what happened. Okay. This is the science part, the geology. What happened is they built this structure the Cascadia guides, close to, I'm going to say, beyond a 6,000 year mark, because the big obsidian flow volcano, when the Newberry volcano went up and set off the big obsidian flow 6,000 years ago, that's what covered it. Now, I don't know how long it was there before that happened. Okay, which makes this older than the Paiute, makes it older than any of the Native Americans that are in the area. It's more of a, again, like Azenazi or something to that effect. I don't know exactly which people were here 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, but this thing was built, I'm going to say closer to 8,000 years ago. And what ended up happening was we had one eruption that took place, and it set out a great big flow out across, and that created a massive lake down here where I'm at. And it was because of all the lava that came down. We have a massive flow called the Newberry. It's the Newberry volcanic flow that comes from Newberry volcano. It comes down to a place we call Cinder Butte, which is also a volcano. Now you get back up to the top here. That was many years ago, before 6,000 years, before the 6,000 year marker, and the obsidian flow went off. And when that obsidian flow went off, it shot all that stuff up into the sky. It completely covered this area that we're at. It was about 2011. It was 2011 when all of a sudden, if you're looking at Google Maps, you start seeing this big debris area that's up on this area where the Cascadia guides are at. And then all of a sudden you see the Cascadia guides, you see a trident, and you see a spear. Okay, they're in the exact same form. If you take and you turn it into a triangle from each of these pieces, and then you blow that triangle up really big, that triangle touches Paulina Peak, Mount Shasta, and Mount Adams. If you blow that little triangle up, and it touches directly on Paulina Peak. So that was one thing that made me, that's how I came up with these are tied to Mount Adams, Mount Shasta, and this location. Yeah. Again, like I said, you take it and you touch the guides, you go over to the trident, and you go over to the sphere, and you make lines, okay? And then you blow those lines up again, like I said, and it runs straight down the entire length of the Cascade Mountain Range in Oregon, into California, into Washington, and right there. The whole thing matches up. And that's part of how I came to my conclusions on what I call the Cascadia Passage, which is the entire length of the Cascades between Mount Shasta, Mount Adams. By the way, if you look up Mount Shasta and Mount Adams, you're going to find that there's different religions and all kinds of things about both of those mountains that match up quite a bit the same. Right. Don't just stop with the I am religion, which is on there. Go to the native religions. You've got the Mount Shasta tribe. You've got the Modoc tribe. You've got all these different Native Americans that have been there long before any of us white folks were around. Now, if you look at this, there's a lot of things that happen in between. I like to try and extend this out to the Grand Tetons, but I know, and in my heart of hearts, because of the way things have worked out, you can clearly tell that the Cascadia Passage happens to be from Mount Shasta to Mount Adams to Paulina Peak. And again, like I said, I'd like to try and extend it out to the Grand Tetons over in Wyoming because of all the stuff that takes place underneath this big triangle.
Yeah, I can see that. Wyoming is pretty spooky.
Kerry, I'll just share this comment, and then we go to Cassidy Light. We can see what Cassidy's got to say. Okay. Mark Dawkins, I've got to say this. Mark Dawkins says, this is a great show. I am with PD Regional Paranormal and Parafam Entertainment, which are a conglomeracy of owls, and I'm very involved in radio frequencies and how they play a part, not only with the paranormal, but with the UFO world. So thank you, Mark Dawkins from PD Regional Paranormal and Parafamily. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you near us. And now we go over to Cassidy Lightwing and hear what he has to say.
Big wave from Oregon.
Parafam's a really good organization. So
Absolutely.
the humans are starting to catch up in certain areas with regards to Göbekli Tepe. They're starting to understand, and through translating the various symbols, are starting to realize that the ancient people, before, right before the Younger Dryas event, they understood that a comet was coming, and they buried that sucker.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
Göbekli Tepe stretches back to before the Ice Age, the Younger Dryas event, back to the Age of Atlantis.
Right.
Maybe it's a hunch, but is it possible that the local tribes buried it before the cataclysm, and there's something
believe so.
under there?
I believe so.
It's
Yeah,
a
I believe so.
It's a possibility, man. I mean, just whoever was around at that area at that time. We don't know if there's a name of a tribe yet, or a peoples that were there at that time,
Right.
before the Young Dryas event. But that is a possibility that they bury stuff like that. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
you have the Easter Island. Why were those buried? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they wanted to make sure that it was preserved.
Yeah.
So,
I'll be right back.
You've got the heads, and if you go right down further, you've got all the bodies, which no one even knew about.
Right, exactly.
For millennia.
Exactly.
And I've got a question here for you,
Go ahead.
Donald. Yeah, do we have pictures of aliens? And I would say, yeah, we do. It's a Cascadia guide to the pictures of the aliens. And I have a question for you, Donald, is how do you know how old they are?
Carrie's pretty much looking at around 6,000 years, maybe to 8. So, but until we have our team up there in about a month from now, we're going to have the research of the university up there to where they're going to be able to. I know it's kind of hard to carbon date something that was set in place. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we're going to look for markings, maybe a possible marking inside of each one of those rocks that pretty much will give us something. But what they're going to start doing is they're going to start excavating around the area. So because what our friend Kev Andrews found was there is something buried underneath there, and it looks like it's ancient. Okay, like it almost looks like a turtle figure or something that's there, and it's underneath all of this, right? So. And that's what we're going to try to find out, if there is something ancient underneath this. Somebody asked, he's asking right now, have we ever worked with Gillian from the Esoteric Ranch, right? And Mount Adams. Now, if you go
Not
to
yet.
if you go to our film, The Middle, we do have footage from the ranch that they sent us that we were able to get on there. We had to ask them to get permission for that footage because one of our guests, she's the one that saw this craft, huge craft, just hovering, and she said it hovered for about an hour. A bunch of people saw it there, and it's on the film. You'll see the actual video on the film. Of course, it's only a short clip of it. It's not going to be the whole thing, but we did work with them just a little bit. Would we love to work with them? Hell yeah, we would. Just to go up there and spend some time. That'd be nice.
And quick reminder for old fans of the show, I'm super positive on Mr. Gilliland. Mr. Gilliland knows what he's talking about. The beef is with the ESETI staff.
Right on.
That's the beef. Mr. Gilliland's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, we had a famous beef a couple years ago.
Oh, wow. Well, it happens. It happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we're all talking about these things that are under our skin and are so close, like close to the spirit, close to the bone. So it's almost impossible to talk about this without hurting somebody's feelings because we're all really, I think everybody's really attached to what they believe, Am
I allowed to name drop Cassidy, a couple of people that we dropped the show into?
Do we name drop? Isn't that rude?
I do.
David
I name drop like a crazy. I know Donald right there.
David Ike, he's got this show in his group right now, and MUFON have got this show in this group in their group right now. Basically, they're two iconic.
Good.
Right on.
Speaking of MUFON, I'd like an invitation to let MUFON know that we are willing to collaborate on every level, and I hope you are too. We're not out here trying to take your thunder. However, we are here. and we are going to continue what we're doing, and we're hoping that not only do we work with you and other groups like you, but we also we have no problem working with law enforcement when they have a question. Again, I want to reiterate: we don't require law enforcement. We don't even want law enforcement to try and tell us what we saw. We don't need any type of government agency to tell us anything again about disclosure. We are disclosure. We're telling you. We're not asking you. We're telling you. That's how witnesses work. So you stop telling us what we're telling you, and we'll continue to give you good reports.
Right on.
And that's why we are so eager to get these guys on, folks. They have that same, bring it on. It's war time now that we do.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. It doesn't matter what nation, what country.
Yeah, and the thing is about us and Alien Strand Disclosure Project, we're here to help people. And like I talked about before, we're the voice of the voiceless sometimes, because there's a lot of people out there that are afraid to talk about it because of the stigma and the thing that happens to them afterwards. I was talking about a podcast I just did today. I was reminding everybody about this podcast today, and I said, you know what? A lot of people on my Facebook, they're your friends, whatever, but I know there's a few out there that think I'm a freaking nut. Right?
Yeah.
They think I'm crazy.
That's right.
They all think like that. But you know what? As you guys know, and thousands of other people are around the world, actually millions now that are watching our movie. Because we're all over the place, man. So if I'm crazy, then you guys are crazy too, right? So because y'all are seeing the same thing. Y'all are seeing the same things we're seeing, right? So it's not that. And then people ask, well, you got to speak by experience. Have you seen anything like that? I have seen UFOs.
You, Terry, are sharing esoteric intellect, blessed with diplomacy, overshadowed by words of wisdom, and that's what this show's all about, and that's what you're all about. And everything, your words are binding, your words hold clarity, you're passionate about what you do, and that's the way we see it, and that's why we bond with you, because you are passionate about what you're doing. Your words hold clarity, and like a way I see it, if you tell a lie, then you just messed it all up, because once people recognise you're bleeding with a lie, they just get into you. And we've reigned for so many years on Facebook, because honesty, sincerity, passionate. And basically, I'm going to come over to a question here from a Facebook user. How do these aliens operate in volcanoes amongst the severe temperatures of volcanic lava?
Spatial displacement and thermal energy conversion.
Okay.
Sorry, they keep asking you, and I keep answering. I'm so sorry, guys.
It's okay. No, go ahead, Terry. You're pretty good at this one. Go for it, brother.
I actually have to agree with him. When you see the craft, what happens is they you notice how they like to take a little dip inside the water all the time and get themselves some hydrogen. Okay, that's what they're after. They're after hydrogen, and that hydrogen bubble. If you move at a certain speed, it creates a kind of a shield around whatever the craft is. Now, everything just on the opposite side. You know how you look at a jet, you see the cone, right? When they break the sound barrier and they start really moving at Mach. What happens is you end up with this really cool cone. And that cone is actually pretty impenetrable. You could shoot at that damn cone, and a bullet probably would not go through. It'd probably bounce off of that cone because it's a really condensed version of hydrogen.
There's nothing your species has that can penetrate these shields, folks.
What's that?
I said there's nothing your species has that can penetrate these shields.
Right.
Correct. Now they use that hydrogen cone as in the same sense as a shield. So what they're doing is they're coming in sometimes at an angle, sometimes they're just coming in real fast towards the mountain. And when they're doing this, they're creating what's called it's a Rosen bridge. I don't know how many people are familiar with Dr. Albert Einstein and Dr. Nathaniel Rosen. Okay, I see. Yeah, you got Dr. Einstein back there. All right, it doesn't take long to learn everything Mr. Einstein put out. I mean, the guy passed away, so he's not writing anything new. You can learn everything about Dr. Einstein. You can learn everything about Dr. Feynman. All these people their information's out there. A lot of it's free to learn. I mean, you can go to a library actually and pick up books. They have these things called books, and you can yeah. The problem is when you look at the pictures, you can't make the pictures bigger. That's the only problem with books.
Are you familiar with craft that actually exist? These craft are unmanned. They might be operated by telepathy. There's no one in them. In fact, the craft are actually made of metal, a living metal. The craft is alive, a living entity. The craft is a living entity without anybody inside, can be maneuvered by telepathy from another being, or can use its own initiative to move around the craft with nobody inside in a living metal. If it was damaged, it could probably repair itself. Have you ever heard anything like that?
Yeah, actually. I'm gonna plug a book. My explanation is gonna do this. I'm gonna plug a book. There's a Dr. Leonardo Susskind. He put out a book called The Theoretical Minimum. What that does is that's telling you the difference between a minus and a plus. And there's that middle between. There's that little number 0 between. It's always the middle, man. This is where I fucking live. You're in the middle, and I'm in the middle. This is what's happening is you've got positive, you got negative. When you have a positive, you've got a negative. You've always got something that's an equal. Now, this one right here is the mate to this one. No matter where it's at in the universe, you're going to have what's called the quantum entanglement. I don't know if you understand what quantum entanglement is, but if it's, say, we'll go with a photon from the sun, okay? The photon from the sun, it's got a mate somewhere way off in space, and at some point, these two are going to collide. When they collide, they've done what they're supposed to do. If you observe the photon, you kill the photon the moment you observe it, okay? However, what happens is you have this photon, and you've got a photon that might be coming from the furthest portion of our solar system, and at some point, these things are going to collide, and they're probably, I'm going to say that the theoretical minimum of the photon that's coming from our sun, which is moving, of course, at what speed?
I don't know.
It would be light speed.
Yeah, let him tell
the
us.
speed of light is what a photon moves. Okay, so anyway, you got another photon coming from another direction, and these two are going to collide at the speed of light at both points. At some point, that energy has to collapse on itself. Okay,
the sun is a portal itself.
I would believe so. Yes, I would believe so. If you take a look at what we've got going on, okay, we're in quantum lock with our moon, and we're also in quantum lock with the other planets. We're also in quantum lock with our sun, that's our big magnetic flux field that shoots these big fields out. When they come out as far as we are at that point, I guess we would call them flares. But those big solar flares are made up of nothing but giant magnetic flux tubes. What's going on is we're being held into a position, and we're locked in, and we're circling around the sun as it's moving through space. Okay, and we're like a big corkscrew with all of our planets following this thing as it's being whipped around on a great big band on the Milky Way. We're just a little bitty. We're so insignificant that we're just this little dot in the Milky Way. And you got to think about anything that you see out there that's a star is the equivalent of what we've got here with our solar system. Every single one of those stars is a solar system, just like our solar system. So if you're sitting there thinking that we're the only one that have a trout, or we're the only one that, I'm willing to bet you there's some shit out there that's got dinosaurs on it that's tearing the crap out of dudes like us. Okay, it doesn't matter where it's at. There's so many different things that are further behind us and way ahead of us. At some point, we're just going to fade out, right? But what I wanted to, I think my big point here is what I'm trying to say is, if you take a look and you go all the way down, again, like Donald said, I didn't know any of this stuff when I started. If you go all the way down to the atomic level, you're going to find out that we are made of this molecule. Okay. If you look further out and you notice the sun itself is the nucleus to a giant molecule.
Yes.
Okay. We're we are. I would have to say that we are like an infection. We're like a very resistant infection. Anytime something like COVID or the flu or the Black Plague, whatever. Uh, Dr. Salk came up with something for us to knock out polio. Okay, so what I'm saying here is every single time that we end up with this shot in the arm, which I like to call a comet going by, and every time you see a comet go by, it's got this tail, and eventually we go through the tail of that comet.
Right.
Every time we go through the tail of that comet, we end up with something like COVID or Black Plague or something to that effect. Like a shot was just put in the arm of whatever's trying to get rid of us, the cold, that's making them itch, burn, sneeze, whatever. I think that's what we all boil down to is we're just a freaking bad infection.
That is one way to put it.
Yes,
people think a little more highly of you than that.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. At you, bless you.
Hey, but you're bad.
That's what Jim Andre says. Mankind is a virus, and me and him argue over this a lot. Actually,
exactly. Well,
I
we're
wish to enhance the lives of mankind and humanity, and he actually says like it's a shame to be a human being. And
you guys,
we are.
I always got to interject.
I disagree. I have to disagree with him. It's not a shame to be humanity. I like beer.
Yeah, beer.
It's like I talked about in the last podcast. You know, we are our own worst enemy, the human beings,
right
within ourselves. I mean, like I said, a lion will not kill another lion. They'll maim itself in a fight, but it will not kill another lion. We are we're the only ones that will kill each other. So that's why we're in the sense that we're our own worst enemy at times. You know,
we are.
Man can be evil sometimes, you know, but there's a lot of good people out there, lot of good people, and that have a lot of positive things to do in life and forward and to help folks, you know, with their enlightenment, with spiritual, with our auras, you know, with all that kind of stuff. You know, it's a positive thing that we have to show people and guide some folks to that point.
The firmament, where is it? Does it exist?
Yes.
150 years ago, the firmament was listed in history books up until 150 years ago. It was removed from the Bible and removed from history. The firmament. Are you
talking about the higher firma? The higher firma.
Well, you got the firmament. What about the rainbow? Why is the rainbow shaped that way? Shaped like a
because we're on a round planet. That's why. Yeah. I'll get that one right out there. It's because we're on a round planet, and it's also because when you put yourself out a bunch of raindrops. You put yourself out a nice bunch of raindrops, what you end up with is called refraction. It's light refraction. And then you end up with this beautiful thing. Every one of those drops turn into a prism of a sort. And what happens when you run light through a prism? You get rainbows. So what you end up with is different shades of different levels of radiation coming in through those raindrops, creating a refraction, and it becomes a rainbow to us. And we see certain colors in our light, and that's what's going on here. I'm hoping I'll explain this so you understand it.
Okay.
I
was going to say something.
Okay. I love science, guys. By the way, I love science.
Some say, Terry, some say space is not real. You know what I mean?
It doesn't exist as
well. Just go out there and take a big breath of it and see what you get.
That's a different thing. So there's actually a couple of reasons why the government started suppressing the word firmament, and that's actually very, very important. In ancient Hebrew, when one understands ancient Hebrew correctly, basically you find that Moses, or according to the story, was taken on a tour of the cosmos and creation, and
to the higher firma.
Right. So what you have there, right there in the Torah, 4,000 years old, an accurate description of physics. Mm-hmm. So they had to get rid of that. They can't let you guys understand that these things have been known for a long time.
Well, they didn't exactly get rid of it. You just got to look in. You just got to know which books to look in. Like the Book of Enoch actually talks about the higher firma, and you have Mr. Van Daniken. There you go.
One of my
Mr.
heroes.
Van Daniken talks about the higher firma, how they were taken to the higher firma. They were shown the Earth from the higher firma. They got on top of. They actually went up in a craft. They didn't go up as an angel. He
Right.
got into a craft. He went up, saw the higher firma, looked down at terra firma, which is where we live. We live on Earth named Terra. The sun's name is Sol, but we live on terra firma. And that's the name of the Earth. So
You just got
firma,
even cooler in my book.
exactly. Man, I study like you wouldn't believe.
All right,
Oh,
John
yeah.
Wilkes says, some say the stars are holes in the lid of our box we're in.
How about this? I've got something else that's going to change your mind about it completely. Okay, so every time, let me start a little further back here. We just recently, our science has stated that we have just recently seen the very first supernova take place with our telescope, and it wasn't with our new telescope. It was with our old telescope before the new one went up. And what ended up happening was they had finally observed the very first supernova. They were extremely stoked about it. They were actually able to see it from Oumuamua, Hawaii, from the telescope that found Oumuamua. It's called Oumuamua. So what's that?
What was the name of the telescope?
Oumuamua.
Really?
Yeah, that's also the name of that big. They called it the Oumuamua comet, but the reason it was found by Oumuamua telescope.
Really?
Okay.
It was the interstellar comet that came in from
it
swung around. But you know it lost about 90% of its mass after it did that. So by the time it left, it was just a small fragment. That was all that was left.
The globe was taken, an image of the globe was taken by a satellite in 1972, and they've used the same one and just photoshopped it over the years, because that's the only one that they've actually got. One.
I understand the basis of that conspiracy theory, but you guys can check on that one literally yourself. You can see the difference in land masses, the difference in the increasing footprint of mankind on the planet. Certain drifts, like certain islands, have been blown away by volcanoes. They're not there anymore.
Right.
You know, so I get the enthusiasm for the theory, but it just doesn't hold water.
Yeah.
Well, they actually used real science for it. That's kind of what gets me, is when they actually take it. It's called science for a reason, because they came to a fact. They came to a point where they came to a fact. And for me, what I'm doing, this is my side of this. What I'm doing is I'm taking this ufology, and I'm showing you how it's going to be used in a actual scientific, not. I'm not trying to say that there's any magic. What I'm saying is this is pure quantum mechanics. It's pure quantum physics. We have this technology. Every time I listen to this stuff, I keep hearing people say, we don't have this technology. Bullshit, we do. We have bullet trains that run on the exact same thing. We are using CERN, okay, where we're taking a hydrogen particle, the hydron, okay, it's called a hadron collider, and we're moving things really close to light speed. Okay, we're right on the edge of light speed. Once we put people inside that particle, we're just as fast, we're just as knowledgeable as these things that are visiting us or living with us, that we don't understand a lot of the stuff, but I'm telling you, we're this close. We are this close to being at the exact same speed. I'm not going to say we're going to be at the exact intelligence. They've got years on us with this equipment.
Okay. Just give me a couple of minutes and then we go to Cassidy. Listen, you brought up the Hadron Collider, Terry. So, this is what I'm going to say to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Professor Brian Cox says the Hadron Collider proves that ghosts and spiritual entities do not exist. Obviously, he's an atheist, because I know for a fact that that's misinformation he's actually sharing. And the reason why he's sharing that is because he's never experienced a spiritual entity or a ghost before in his life, so therefore he's bound to not. If he doesn't know, then he doesn't know. That's that.
Right.
My question is, how long has he worked at the Hadron Collider?
He's a professor, Brian Cox. This is like in England, he's a big face.
That's fine. But
the Hadron Collider, they have allegedly made a connection with a spiritual entity from the other side, allegedly from Saturn, and some say hell. They've connected with a another intelligent life force they've connected with, and is actually communing with them right now through the Hadron Collider. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that there's a possibility for us to take a good look. Do you guys understand what the boson Higgs is?
Yes.
Okay, what happens is when the collider, once this hadron and this hydrogen particle collide, it hits, and when it hits, it shoots off like a shotgun blast. Okay, and what ends up taking place is you got all these little particles doing rotations, just like Earth's rotation and all the planets' rotation. That's what the boson Higgs is. It's a particle that's doing what they call the boson rotation. Okay. And that's why they call it the God particle. What they've done there is, for an instant, they just created a universe just like ours, or a solar system just like ours. Now, in the center of that, you've got the energy where it collided, and that's where you end up with the where it's smacked together. And that energy, when it hits, that creates a tiny little sun. And then all these little guys around this sun are spinning just like our Earth, our Mars, our you see where I'm going with this, all the way out to our little Pluto. That's what's happened, and they're catching that. It's an instantaneous reaction. It's not something that lasts for more than just an instant. But they're able to record that instant, just like when we're out recording craft going by. Okay, what we're doing is we've got our cameras fixed on the sky. I'm trying to divert back to what we do. Okay, what happens is if we're aimed at the sky and we see this little thing go by real fast, and all of a sudden you're like, was that a bug? Was that a bird? What was that? Meanwhile, that view that you had, was like a 5-mile view in your camera, and this thing went by like that. So what you do is you go back to that spot, and you can do this with your cell phone. You can do this with you can do it with any camera. I got to let the world know. Watch Ledesma smile here. I got to let the world know I am Nikon. Okay.
I believe
Nikon, did you hear me that time? Okay. I am Nikon.
Can we take some time out just for 5 minutes? I'd like to hear what Cassidy's got to say. I'd like to hear what Donald's got to say. Quantum mysticism is a science that practitioners and physicians don't fully understand. They even go as far as saying quantum mysticism is a form of jargon, gibberish, or whatever, which actually it's not. From experience, no. Quantum mysticism is actually real. Some may even call it magic because they don't fully understand like the clarity of it, but quantum mysticism is very real. And you believe? I have a question. Do you believe in magic, Terry?
I do.
Donnie? Magic
I do.
Real. What about you, Donald?
Go ahead, Donnie.
Go on. Go on, Donald. You have an answer.
I believe that people can tap into something that some of us can't. You know, they have that they have that ability to see things and to do things that we can't, because their aura, their inside their brain, or however they did it, they were able to tap into that special part that's able to do it. Now, do they use other spiritual realms to do this? Maybe. Hell, I don't know. I'm not the one to do this. You know what I mean? Only they know. Especially like
library or the occult is words of power. Words of power have the ability to create ripples in the cosmos, causing manifestations to occur. That's how magic works, using words of power. If you don't know about words of power,
we're rocketing forward. I need to go back and address something.
Go ahead.
Okay. So to the skeptics, okay. This is why we do what we do. You guys are welcome here. Anything you want to know or challenge us on, you're always welcome. Okay. So first off, this is why we're doing this. Now, for those of you guys who are skeptics, I ask you to please be patient with some of the things you guys hear. How many times have you guys heard on this channel some literally next level physics or biology, and you all called me a fool only to find out later, oh yeah, Cass was right. Science is advancing.
Yeah, it is.
That's why we're doing this. We've acquired the genetic proof of the ETs. They've got more proof. Other MUFONs got proof. That's why we need to come together and all share like a great moot of knowledge. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But you guys are right to be skeptic. How many times has there been a con man?
Yeah, exactly.
So
And that's why sometimes you just don't know who's actually telling the truth or who's fooling you. You know what I mean? There's true people out there still though that I think that can pull things off that I've never seen in my life. Maybe I can't tell you yes and I can't tell you no.
In my life has been blessed and cursed with quantum mysticism. I've seen the most amazing things that are beyond human comprehension that I couldn't share with everybody because I can't expect them to actually believe what I've witnessed, seen, or experienced in the first place. To be honest with you.
Second thing I have to say,
I don't think I've ever seen a ghost, yet I've seen loads of spiritual entities communed with them. They talk to me using telepathy. They touched me. I've been attacked by them. I've been punched in the face by them, and I can't expect people to believe all of that. But spiritual entities,
kind of a life and death thing. Can I finish? This is kind of a life and death thing.
Go ahead.
I've literally shed blood and bone for this over the course of 30 years.
Well, Cassidy, what about a little bit of you? Like,
I'm trying.
DNA. Go on, say it, Cassidy.
Yeah, I'm trying. So as far as quantum healing goes, I want you guys to all know that due to work from a great many light workers around the world, but in no small part thanks to Shar, quantum healing has now been proven to the point that the higher end hospitals are hiring quantum healers. Take that, skeptics.
You know what? Let me say something real quick before you get there, Terry. I actually tried Palm Chaka. I had never in my life experienced anything like when I worked with Palm Chaka. I tried it and I didn't know if it was able to do it or not, but you know what? It works, man. I actually took some people's pain away, like a small pain in the wrist or a hand. Somebody got hurt, and I used the Palm Chaka technique to take the pain away. And it you have to really, it's something you have to concentrate with, and it works. It works.
Right by hands.
It works, man.
Hands. Some people are blessed with Raikai hands that have the ability to remove pain, extract pain, even cure cancer with Raikai hands. A phenomenon that atheists, scientists, practitioners do not fully understand.
Right.
So, folks, if you're out there and you have an ailment and you don't know what to do, have hope. Contact a quantum healer. If science has failed you, maybe it's time to try the old ways. That's all.
I have a little thing I want everybody to pay attention to. First, I got to say this because that's why we're here. The middle Cascadia Guides. I want everybody to go out and see this movie. You're going to learn a lot from it. There's a lot more to learn in the second one, and by the time you get to the third one, most of you will start becoming what I would call a good citizen ufologist by the time we get to the third one. When you're done with by the third time we do this, you're going to know certain techniques. You're going to know how to use your phone. You don't have to go out and buy an expensive camera, but you're going to know how to do certain things. Now, I'm going to go back to what I was trying to say. I want everybody to go out and see Dr. Les Brown. He's a quantum healer. He deals in quantum physics. He deals with, in this in particular course that he has is called Dr. Les Brown, the physics of crystals and beyond in a ludicrous world. I want you guys to go out and learn this because it is 100% what he's teaching you is ancient technology. He was one of the very first people that you see where I'm pointing.
Yes,
he's one of the first people that I came to find what I need right here. He was part of what opened my mind. He's probably long gone. I'm sure he's passed away by now. But I'm telling you again, it's a 2.5 hour lecture on the physics of crystals. Okay? He's teaching you how to use crystals, the technology that comes with it. He teaches you how to actually harness the power of Earth without plugging into any kind of electrical device. He teaches you this stuff. He teaches you how to communicate using crystals with other people around the world, using crystals.
Yeah.
Another person I want to make sure that you get a hold of is Mr. Ken Wills Jr. That gentleman, he's going to explain ancient. There you go. I've got my bookshelf loaded down right now with various different things. Um, that was Horns and Halos that Donald was holding up. He's going to explain a lot of the things that the Azenazi, the Fremont, and the their Pueblo people all throughout the Utah area and a few other places in the world, actually. But he tells you why there's a snake over the top of somebody's head. He tells you why the arms are up or down inside of a glyph. He teaches you certain things. All you have to do is take a moment to go through his work. A large majority of what he has is all photography.
Yeah,
he does
petroglyphs.
And it's all petroglyphs going down like Dinosaur National Monument and a few things like that. So
petroglyphs over this planet are loads of evidence that giants existed. They're in petroglyphs, bonded to the planet like clay, molded petroglyphs of giants all over the planet, and you can actually see their features, even dragons as well. Actually, dragons 21 feet long in the southwest of, there's one in America, a dragon 21 foot long, petroglyphs, petrified in the ground, and there's also one in the southwest of England, 6 miles long. The scales are predominantly there, petrified in the clay, in the mud of the earth.
I've got a serpent. I've got a serpent right here in Oregon that stretches over a mile long. This is another location. See, if we had enough time and all the money in the world, Donald's wife would miss him so much.
Yeah.
If I could just take him to all the locations that I know of just in Oregon. Okay. Keep in mind, after my sighting, I can look down at maps, satellite imagery, and I find things that nobody else can. I know how to look down at the earth. I don't even understand why, but I can get down. Well, actually, I do understand why. It was the eye-to-eye contact. I can tell you wholeheartedly that a large majority of these petroglyphs are displaying the Annunaki talking with regular people. That's why you have such giant beings with such small people. These were the Annunaki during that time frame. This is all before Christ, all that wonderful time frame that we like to call,
well, allegedly
Pangea. Let's just go to Pangea, and that's how all these people got to meet.
The Annunaki allegedly arrived there 460,000 years ago, where they met the reptilians and the Pleiadians, and there was a massive war at the time. And the Annunaki were victors. The reptilians went underground, and the Pleiadians went back to the Pleiad constellation. I don't know if you're aware of that. That's a theory.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We have a different view of this concept.
Yeah.
To answer you, Virgil, the answer is no. I most certainly did not dream it, but it depends on what state you're in. Your government, after they discovered the DNA, your government assigned a number of quantum healers to Shar 24/7 before she died. So no, I did not dream it, but it does depend on what state you're in. Here in Colorado, like they by law have to respect the Native American belief system by law. So you would not get sectioned here in Colorado. Try that crap in Maryland. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on in Maryland. I just know here in Colorado, they'd hook you up with a proper healer according to your belief.
Can I go back just for a minute? What we're talking about spiritual stuff. Okay, so our movie CE3 that's coming up now, we've noticed that a lot of our candidates that are going to be in this film, not just them, but a lot more other folks, that once they have a really close encounters with the craft, or maybe a CE2 where they see a craft really up close, that things start happening inside their homes. They start seeing shadow people more. They start seeing their drawers open up. They start getting more paranormal activity. They start seeing things that they've never seen before. A lot of our folks, well, not a lot, I'm going to say maybe 2%, they're getting attacked daily with scratches, with scoot marks. They're getting all this stuff and after they witness crafts. So this is what this film's going to be about, C3. It's going to be about how they how they witnessed this and how all these things are still happening to them in their lives, right?
That's what I
It's
was about to ask.
Go ahead.
No, you answered it.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what's happening to them, and it's still happening to them. And there's some that they can't shake it off. There's just no way to shake it off. They've tried everything, from, of course, the priests. They've tried everything to the quantum healing. They've tried everything, to try to get rid of what's happening to them sometimes.
Right.
And it almost seems demonic to those 2%. Okay.
So,
and go ahead.
Oh, if there are quantum healers in the group or spiritual combatants in the group, if they wish to help these people, is there a way they could get in touch with these people through you?
Yeah. Just you can contact us. You can find me anywhere on Facebook, and especially on Alien Strand Disclosure Project. So you can find us there, and we that website that we have actually shows all our representatives and what category they're in and what they do and how they help people. There's one on alien abductions where they help. One person helps people with trauma and talks to them one-on-one. So I mean, for needing spiritual healers, yes, we do need your name, we do need your number, we do need your information, because you're there with us to help these folks that are going through this horrible things that are happening to them. Now, I talked to so many people who are saying, well, if an alien comes down or a UFO, I want them to take me. Hell no, you don't. Hell no, you don't. No, you don't. Because
you know what happens if you leave and come back?
And sometimes you won't come back. You know what I mean? What about the stories of the people that didn't come back? You don't know because they didn't make it back.
Do you know what happens if you leave at light speed and you're gone for 15 minutes and you come back? Every single person you know is going to be gone because 70 years just passed.
Yeah.
So don't get on the craft if you don't have to.
Exactly. So that's what we're doing on this next film. We're on CE3, the part 2 to the middle. We're gonna finish Terry's story off, because how it finished in the first movie, it ends with him getting ready to tell a story. So he gets to finish his story in part 2. Everything that happened to him and what's happening to him ever since. So, and then of course you get to hear everybody else on top of that. But, and that's, like I said, that's what we're here to do with Alien Strand Disclosure Project. Even our movies, they're there to help people because they're experiencing things that they've never experienced before. And they don't know how to tell people. Like I said, we had a couple of people watch our movie, The Middle, and they text me, they go, man, I just cried because I was telling so many people about what I was experiencing. And once you brought it onto my screen, it brought tears to my eyes, because I knew that I wasn't crazy, because what I was seeing is what you guys are seeing too. So, and this is what I'm talking about. This helped this person tell their story and validated it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because validation is key to your disclosure. So that way people don't think that you're crazy. You know what I mean?
We have a motto. We do have a motto on this. It's that disclosure starts with your story and respect. And that is our motto. That's ASDP's motto from every single one of our ufologists. If you're coming to tell us a story, we're there to listen. We're not there to mock you. We're not there to make you feel like you are bad for seeing what you saw. We're there to help you get through the experience that you just had. And if you're like me, you feel like you need to share the experience. I felt like I was supposed to go out and tell the world what I saw, and I feel like that I'm not the only person that does that. Every one of these people that see that seem to have this exact same thing, that they feel like they need to let the world know exactly what they saw, how they saw it. Some people
actually was looking at you too, thinking like, shall we have you on the show? Are you a bunch of crazies? That's what we were thinking, and we said, no, watch the documentary. That's what we were
correct. Yeah, that's the thing is there's a stigma that's come with this, and finally, it's like very recent that, and I hate to say this, but the federal government finally came out and started talking about craft and all this other stuff that's in the sky. Again, like I said, we really don't need you for that, because we've seen it, and you're the ones that actually put the stigma on all these people. When somebody tries to report it and you've got a cop sitting there smirking at you like you're like you're crazy because you're trying to tell him something you saw in the sky. And then by the time the end of his day comes and he's hit every neighbor down that street, he's not smirking no more. But that first person that got that interview, they're like, should I have said it? Should I have even said it? And then they got a neighbor next door that didn't see it, but they want to tell you what you saw. And then they want to tell you that you're crazy because you saw it. That's not how disclosure actually works. How disclosure works is you don't worry about your neighbor that you know is going to be a smartass. You go to ASDP. You go to MUFON. Don't worry so much about NASA because they don't seem, with all their money and equipment, don't seem to see the same things that you are getting on film. For some reason, we have better technology than NASA. So my suggestion is NASA gets off their ass and they come hire somebody like me and Mr. Ledesma to show them why they're not seeing what they're seeing, because they want to be in this little box, a compartmental thing. This person does this person does that, this person does this. I'm a ufologist. I go out in the field, I look up, I use cameras, I have what's called free will, and I'm not talking about the biblical shit. I'm talking about I have my own camera. I have my own night vision. I have my own team. I go out and I find the things instead of sitting inside of an office going, well, we don't know if there's something inside of it.
Right.
Okay, if I had a jet, you guys would be in trouble.
Well,
I'd be able to chase this shit down.
And then we're not like NASA either. We're not going to spray paint it, color it out. We're going to show you. We're going to show you exactly what everybody is witnessing in the skies, because and this is what I talk about a lot about, and not just my podcast, but to everybody around the world, that once you see a craft, man, report that right away. Report it.
Report it to us.
Report it to the authorities. ASDP if you can, just report it, because what happens, what Terry was talking about is, let's just say 100 miles away, these people saw the same thing, or 300 miles away, something happened to a person over there and they're connected. We'll never know about it because the data is not there. So once you report it, we'll see the data and we'll start putting things together, especially with abductions, man. Because these poor folks, they go through some crap that, man, they're trying to tell their story, and then everybody's saying, no, man, you're nut, you're crazy. But yet, Alien Strand Disclosure Project has 3 different witnesses or 4 different witnesses that saw that same craft at that same time land, come down, or go over a house. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say here? The proof is there. The disclosure is there. Yes. So that way,
we do have a reporting center too.
Yeah. So that way people don't think that, we're here to work for you, man. We're here to do all the hard work for you. So
we have a website, a reporting center.
Yeah, we have a reporting center. So, and if you just go to ASDP, I think it's -UFO.com, go to there, and then you'll see our all our information there, to where you can report it. And even like we have a paranormal area there. We have everything there for everybody to see. We just got a report in, as a matter of fact, of a woman. We just uploaded it to our website yesterday, and she started seeing crafts. She started getting markings on her bodies, and then later on, she's still having these occurrences, by the way, and things are happening to her, traumatizing sometimes. But what happened to her was she started seeing future events that were going to come to pass. So she started talking to folks, and she would see a person. She goes, "You know what? I hate to tell you this, but something's going to happen to her in a soon or something." And then she would go talk to them. A couple of weeks later, and this person died, and it even happened to her own sister. Okay, so she ended up tapping into something that she can't understand, and she still doesn't understand. Is this
a young lady from the Netherlands?
Yes, from Denmark.
From Denmark. Okay, yeah.
So we're working with her. We're trying to help her out. She used priests. She used everything that she tried to do to get this entity or whatever it is that's attacking her sometimes and her home. It shows the pictures of actual crafts. They show pictures of entities. They show smoke images. There's even pictures in her mirror, man, of looks like ghosts, paranormal, that are coming through her mirror. So, and these are the pictures that are on there. So
these methods are a little different. They might be able to help.
Well, good.
Also, spiritual entities and ghosts are not the same thing. Just what I mentioned.
I have to say something real quick. I just got a thumbs up from one of my favorite of all ufologists out of Australia, Chris Hamill. Hey, Chris, how's it going, brother?
Right on. He's in our film.
That's the guy. That right there's the guy that does my deepest analyzation. When I find something, I ship everything from Oregon via magic waves of the internet out to Australia, and I have this guy with his beautiful computer system and absolute perfect knowledge of how to filter, slow down, speed up. He does. You should. Well, actually, you've seen his work in our movie, but he is absolutely one of the best when it comes to slowing this stuff down and analyzing. Donald's brought it up several times. I guess I'll do it this time. The country of Canada has offered him a little bit of observation on a bunch of rockets that they have going into space, and they want him to analyze what's going on around the rockets. I had first noticed this type of occurrence with Annabelle Quiones out of Colorado. Yeah, him and I went for about a solid month looking at different launches and realizing almost every launch that we have has craft shooting past, trying to see what we're up to. Well, it turns out that Chris Hamill, that's the man to talk to. You hear that, NASA? He's the guy you want. he can show you things that you just don't know.
They probably know, but they're just not saying.
I'd like to say, Virgil Kane says, "You're great, Brad," so I thought I'd throw that in there. And that must mean me. Also, I'd like to say that I would like to say, hang on, just bear with me a minute. Sharon Cornett Brunner says, "Learning something new tonight." Thank you for that, Sharon. Okay, yeah. Linda just says, "Sounds like how telepathy feels on the receiving end." And Virgil Kane is actually says that he's being respectful. He's a very senior nurse.
You're cool,
and like he's basically saying, "Thank you for listening to other opinions. I respect you all for that, for listening to other people's opinions, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Thank you for that." Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean we're there to listen to people all the time. I mean it's just we're so patient with
You've
folks.
been doing a lot of listening, Donald. We've been watching you. Only joking.
Oh yeah, well, oh yeah, yes sir. I've been reading it, you know, and all the comments. I'm reading all the comments as I go down.
What to say? That's what I'm wondering because you're sitting there very quiet.
Well, I'm not hooked up to a computer myself. I'm just looking on a phone.
Okay.
That's why he can't.
We've had a lot of questions about extra-dimensional entities, the hyperspace wars. You said you believe in magic. Does that go for both of you?
I'm not sure about Donald.
About magic? Right. Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I remember I told you that there's some people that can tap into that special area that we can't. So I'm pretty much there.
What do you guys think about the idea that there is, in fact, a hyperspatial hot war going on that is bleeding into the real world? What do you think about that idea?
It's kind of hard for me to. I mean, I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. But it's a possibility. You know, I mean, people are people actually going through this and experiencing this? I mean, yes, right. So if they are, then I think they should be heard too. You know what I mean? And just to kind of, it's okay. I hate to say it this way, but before all this stuff happened with ufology, people were like trying to talk about it, and nobody understood what ufology was or UFOs were back in the day, right? So what's the difference between that and what you just talked about? Nothing, right?
I don't see one.
It has to start.
There isn't one.
It has to
Also,
start somewhere.
Virgil Keynes says he's a senior nurse, okay, and he says, I am into science. I honestly couldn't imagine what a quantum therapist would be. Well, I can answer that. Jim Andre, who sadly is not with us, he is a quantum therapist. He's a quantum healer. He has the ability over the internet to cure people of cancer. I know this is a fact, a statement of fact, because I've spoken to some of his patients who had cancer and have had the cancer removed by Jim Andre using the power of the mind, quantum therapy, quantum healer, quantum. That's exactly.
In his case, he says he learned it from the Zetas.
Oh,
yeah.
Zeta Reticula, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I said, ma'am. I'm so sorry.
Hey, my hair's long down here, man.
Well, it is 2023.
It don't matter.
Jim Andre has an implant on his hand.
What prison are you from?
Virgil Keynes says you are great, guys. I think
Thank
you
you.
mean all.
I agree with Virgil.
Thank you. This is a great
Go
conversation.
to your website, Alien Strand Disclosure Project. Go to your website if you want to learn something new. Which is
my suggestion is not only do you go to ASDP, but you join up. You find a way to join up, and then once you've joined up, you attach yourself to a ufologist. Once you've attached yourself to a ufologist, your world's going to open up. Once you've done that, and you start producing things that ufologist is showing you, and you start doing this yourself, well, then you start moving into that level of becoming a ufologist. And once you become a ufologist, we're going to hand you that title, ASDP ufologist. You're going to be part of whatever region you're in, and you're going to represent your location. You're, like, say, you're in, I'm in Deschutes County, Oregon. Right now, there's 3 of us, and in the whole state of Oregon, well, actually, there's a few more than that now I think about it, but there's 3 of us that I can think of. It's me, Jonathan Mitchell, and Michael Beavers. Okay, for instance. Now we've got Debbie Allison, we've got other people here. I want to make sure that all those people are recognized for that. But out there in the group, what happens is you attach yourself to a ufologist. Once you've attached to a ufologist, now you start to learn. Okay, once you learn, then you start to become that ufologist, and you start to take over the location you're at, and then you go out whenever something happens in your area, and you take a report. Now, Mr. Ledesma, we're kind of like the Cheech and Chong of ufology. He's ex-law enforcement. I'm an ex-biker. Okay.
Oh,
let me go this way. He knows how to do a report like nobody's business. Okay.
What kind of law enforcement? Real quick.
The kind that puts handcuffs on you for being a hippie, you dirty bastard. Anyway.
I was actually a deputy in the sheriff's department in 1994 through 96. So, but I got out long time ago. You know, it's just one of those things. I was a sergeant at arms of a motorcycle club.
Okay, so I'm telling you, we're polar opposites, and that's, remember I was telling you about quantum entanglement? Okay, the opposite and the opposite, they meet, and what ended up happening, right in the middle.
Yep.
Okay, so he's an ex-cop. I'm an ex-biker. We're both no longer that. Don't get us wrong.
Yeah. It's funny because I couldn't be a cop or a biker because of my eyes, and I wanted to do both.
Wow.
Oh, I was a biker because I could knock the crap out of anybody that said the wrong thing. I was really good at it. And he was a cop because he'd arrest anybody that said the wrong thing. He was really good at it. It turns out between the two of us, we're really good at people that say the wrong thing.
Yeah,
anyway,
right. However, I got stories for you guys.
I'll bet. Now this whole thing that we put together here is what we're trying to do is not only we're trying to come up with a database of what's going on around this planet, but we're trying to get it to where we can say, if I happen to film a craft that's going over and I clearly see this craft heading a certain direction, I can call off to my friend in Pakistan, Iran, Africa, Australia, South Africa, Northern Ireland, Scotland. I can say it's kind of heading that direction. And if I can actually get a lineup on it, and then I throw out a grid, I can find out that craft is heading specifically in a direction. Now, if I can get that person to respond, okay, within, it requires moments because of how fast these things move. They go from anywhere from 22 miles a second to floating like a balloon. Okay, so think about how fast that actually is. And if I can get somebody to get that exact crap that I just filmed in Oregon as it's going over the guides, okay, if it's going over the guides and it's heading towards the right direction, I want to see if in 10 minutes, okay, 10 minutes time, if that craft is making its way to Australia from Oregon. Okay, we don't have anything that moves that fast. They do. Now, the closest we come to anything that we have that moves that fast, that physically moves that fast, that's aircraft, is when we have a shuttle coming in. Like anything that's coming into our atmosphere, we usually go against the Earth rotation. We're usually coming into us at a certain angle, and we're trying to go to a certain spot. Now, when those craft are coming in, like say a space shuttle that is cutting across the sky over the state of Texas, it's moving at 17,000 miles an hour during a re-entry. Okay, so to say that 22 miles a second is a big deal, it's not a big deal if you've got the right technology. That's the fastest we go. Okay, we go 17,000 miles an hour. Now, 22 miles a second, mind you, is let me do the quick math in my head. It's 89,000 miles per hour. Okay, that's very, 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 very fast. So if you took, say, I don't know, an aircraft carrier and moved it at 89,000 miles an hour, are you going to see it? No, you're not. You're not going to see anything moving at that speed. So what these things have done is let's move beyond what people will call the interdimensional thing, and let's just simply say they're hiding with speed. They move at certain speeds. They pass us at certain speeds. What we see, if anything, you're all of a sudden you're like, hey, was there somebody just there? And that's you feel like someone's just watching you.
And
right?
then also Jerry, they cloak in the clouds.
They cloak in the clouds.
They make they make a mist that looks like a cloud, where
right out of the hydrogen.
Yeah, they're right
there. There were 3 gigantic motherships over Texas. Texas is a huge state in America.
Donald lives there.
Over the state of Texas, which is huge, 3 of them, and they were detected by radar, but you couldn't actually see them at all. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is amazing. But you know how Terry was talking about just a minute ago that if he sees a craft in Oregon, somebody else in another part of the world is he wants to call them, make sure that same craft is going too. Well, yeah. Terry actually has friends of his that call him family. They're like almost indigenous people that they know who Terry Lynch is. And they actually have a cell phone. They took a photo of themselves. They sent it to Terry. They're actually looking at the skies too. And am I correct, Terry?
Yeah, these people are I almost want to call them pygmies, man, because they're so small.
Yeah, they're little.
The whole tribe, there's nobody's over 3 foot tall, including their chief. These people, what's going on is with all this technology that's going around the world, we're popping up cell towers in different locations, and what happens is it's almost comical. What's happened here is they've given this entire indigenous pygmy tribe. I mean, these guys, like, again, 3 feet tall, the whole tribe. And I got to tell you, the leader, now all these guys look like little island guys with little round bowl type haircuts. Yep. Okay. And they all look like little muscle bound guys. Now their leader looks like a freaking wizard. I mean, this guy's got a long beard that goes like down to his knees, and long hair, gray hair that goes down to the center of his back. And this is the chief of their tribe. Okay. So these, what I'm saying is with all this technology that's going out there in the world, they're starting to put cell towers in locations and giving people little solar
Cell
ways to cell phones, and they're giving them a way to not only charge the phone with solar, but they're giving them free cellular service because they just put a tower up right at the edge of their damn tribe.
Yeah.
So now we're getting all these indigenous people with all the same access we have.
That's good.
It's a big deal.
Yeah,
Thank
It's
you
a big,
real big
with
deal.
your presence, Terry Lynch, Donald Ledesma. Thank you so much for blessing us for your presence. We have less than 120 seconds left.
Right on.
So, Cassidy, is there anything you'd like to add in the next couple of minutes?
Yeah, I want everybody just to. Oh, you talking to? I'm sorry, Cass. Go
No,
ahead.
go on, Donald. Go for
ahead.
it, Donald.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Yes.
brother. Go ahead.
No,
No, I was just going to shoot it to you guys. What is there anything you want to promote? Anything you want
well,
people to
Donald.
know?
Yes,
I mean, Donald promote.
If you want to go to watch the film The Middle, you can catch it on Amazon Prime. You can catch it on Tubi TV. You can catch it on 15 other platforms. Hoopla. We're actually going to be on TCL pretty soon on the Roku channel. So our movie's going to be on 15 platforms. You can just go to Led's Production or ledsfilms.com. You'll find the film there and all the information of what's coming up on the new film.
If I
Also, I'd
wanted
like
to
say
ask
Alien Strand Disclosure Project, that's where it's at. Also, when you're looking for what you should look for is the middle Cascadia guides, the middle Cascadia guides. If you
Correct.
Google that, you'll be bang on.
if
Okay.
we wanted to
Anything else,
host
guys?
your movie on our channel, what would we have to do? Do we have to pay a licensing fee or something?
Yes. I mean, because I bought total copyright
Right,
when I made the film. So yeah, it's right now we're going through a platform to where they're distributing our film out.
Do
So
they have
they
an
are.
exclusivity thing?
I'm sorry.
Do they have an exclusive?
Yeah.
At the
they're-
moment. At the
at the
moment.
moment.
Okay.
Well,
right.
I mean, for the new movie.
Yeah.
No, we don't have one yet. I mean,
Okay.
we're and it's not out yet because we're it's in production. It'll be filming. It'll be ready like I say within October. It'll be submitted.
Cool.
By November, December, it'll be out on the first platform, which will probably be Amazon Prime.
Right.
So that's
Most likely
where
Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll hit you up for some more information about that after the show.
Okay. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Donald Ledesma, Alien Strand Disclosure Project, Terry Lynch, Cassidy Lightwing. My host is back. Hey, Cassidy, we've missed you. And Bradley Powers, Mystic, Spiritual Healer, Spiritual Advisor, sorry. Thank you for joining us. So it's been a pleasure to have you all near us in this iconic premiere of Esoteric Hours. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for joining us.
ASDP.
Goodbye.
Oh,
Thank you, guys.
Jim's not here. I got to handle the outro. Okay. Okay. Found the button. See you guys next time.
Bye.
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 That's all the
Thank
time
you.
we have
Thank
for
you
now,
for your
dear
time.
lights. Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to hit that like button and share with your friends. We have a great many people to reach, but we are only as strong as our signal. The world can be a scary place, but you don't have to face it alone. We love you, everybody. Be safe out there.